Hello, and welcome to Living Beyond Limits. I am Reverend Jennifer Spear, and we are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. I'm so glad that you have joined us today for this online service. And so normally when we meet together in person, one of the first things that we do is say good morning to the people that are sitting near us. And what happens is really it just turns into a huge love fest of heart connection and people being so grateful to see each other and just to be with those people that are our tribe, actually. And so what I invite you to do right now is, since we're not together in person, is just to close your eyes for a moment and to imagine some of those people that you sit near on a Sunday morning. And if you don't attend our services regularly, just to hold in your mind's eye some of the people that you care about. And so as you see them before you, imagine that you are just wrapping them in your love. Send them some of your love and wrap them in that love. And to see them standing in their own authentic power, in that place of freedom and of choice. And to know that as you are seeing them stand in their own power, in their own wholeness, and sending that love, that you are actually sending them a blessing. And to know that there are other people who watch this video who are doing the same thing for you, wrapping you in their love and sending you that blessing. And so how nice it is to get to participate in that. And so we begin our service this morning. Our practitioner, David Conant, is going to come forward and lead us in an evocation as we begin to evoke an awareness of the presence of Spirit that is always right where we are. So we're evoking in our awareness the presence of Spirit. And he'll do a contemplative reading for us. And so I invite you right now just to kind of begin to settle into yourself, to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and to turn within to that place of stillness, the place of silence, the place within you that is not of this world, but instead is your own divine essence.
I move my thoughts within to center my consciousness with the one source. This is where I know I can always recognize the presence of Spirit. And since we all are one with this one source, we have a divine companion, always with us, always manifesting in our lives and in everything we do. That same living Spirit is present here now as living beyond limits. It is a blessing to me to have such a clear picture of all of this, knowing that it is the same for all of us. I bless Reverend Jennifer as her oneness with Spirit manifests a talk today that speaks to each one of us. I bless everyone, and I say, and so it is. Hello. My reading today is from a book entitled Live It Up by Donald Curtis. And it's from a chapter entitled The Affirmative Approach to Life. An affirmative attitude is of vital importance in our lives. This is because our attitudes determine our experience. If we wish to have all the good things in life, they must first be embodied in our mind and in our heart. It is important to think constructively, creatively, positively, and affirmatively, because what we hold in our consciousness determines the experience that comes about in our world. How do you think about your life, about yourself, about God? Learn to take things as they come and look for the good in them. Anything of good is from God, because God is the all good. Develop a positive approach to life. Any given day may bring unexpected challenges. These are opportunities and privileges which come our way. It is the presence of God within our positive, constructive, affirmative thought that helps us overcome the world. It is up to each one of us to make a choice. Am I going to control my world, or is my world going to control me? Am I going to control my thoughts, or are my thoughts going to control me? The person who decides to exert authority over his thoughts has control of his world. Is this easy to do? Not always. But what is life for except to apply yourself, to live, to learn, and to grow? As we think, so we are. What we think and feel creates our experience in this world, and so it is.
Thank you, David. Powerful words. And so I'd like to share with you right now our mission statement. And if you know it, I invite you to join me in saying it. And if you don't, I invite you just to take this in. It says, "We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world." And so that's what we're up to here at Living Beyond Limits, is we are giving ourselves the opportunity to move back into that place within us that knows that there is no separation between us and that divine presence. That life of the divine, that is life itself. That it is the life that we are living, and it is the presence that animates us. And what happens is, it's as we come to recognize that that presence is always right where we are, filling our lives and filling every moment of our lives, that that presence is within us as our own innate, authentic power, the truth of our own wholeness, the divine blueprint of wholeness that we were created out of, that it is also a presence of love and a presence of peace, then we have access to it because we already know it's there. And as we do that, then we come to the world differently. We come to the conversations and to the experiences of the world differently because we don't need the world to give us, say, love or wholeness in order to be loving and whole back. We know that it's within here, and we can tap into that and bring it into the world. And as we do that, we act as a healing agent. We act as a beneficial presence, and we change the things around us. And so I say thank you to you for walking the spiritual path and for heeding the call of your own soul to be giving way to your own divine nature, which is none other than that divine presence of the universe. And so thank you for that. And so, do things just feel a little crazier to you than normal right now? Does everything just seem kind of chaotic? And because things seem chaotic and kind of crazy, do you find it hard sometimes to find your solid footing? You know, there's fires burning up and down the West Coast right now, and economies have reopened, and other economies have closed down again because of COVID-19. And school has started, and so some kids are doing school at home on the computer, and some kids have gone back to school on campus. And then some of those campuses have closed, and kids are no longer on campus because of COVID-19. And some people are doing homeschooling, and all of that feels stressful. In fact, I heard 3 kids talking the other day. They were siblings, 2 boys and a girl, and one of the boys said to the other ones, "I don't think this teacher even knows what she's doing." And the other brother says, "You know, and I think she smells like alcohol. In fact, I think she smells like cheap vodka." And then the little girl says, "Quit being so mean to Mom." Everything feels a little crazy. And then on top of that, we have a presidential election that is upon us. And with that, all the ads and all the mudslinging and all of that happens with all the commercials. Voting, actually, for some people starts this week, October 5th. And then there is the trying to push through the appointing of a Supreme Court justice. All of that feels a little stressful and a little overwhelming. And so with all of that happening, do you find it kind of hard not to feel like you're just being thrown around by the world? Are you having a hard time staying centered and grounded in your own spirituality? Do you find sometimes it's a little difficult to speak and act and think from your own spiritual nature and your own spirit and that groundedness that I was talking about? Do you find that it's a little difficult sometimes to speak and act from love or from peace that is within you? It's a little bit hard to speak and act from that part of yourself that is not of this world, but instead is of the divine. At Centers for Spiritual Living and Living Beyond Limits, our intention and our focus is to teach spiritual living. And so spiritual living means living from your spirit. It means living from that conscious awareness of that divine presence, that it is within you and that it is within everyone, that it is all around you and filling your life. It's living from your spirit and an awareness of that unwavering, inconquerable connection with that divine presence. We are focused on, and our intention is to live out of that conscious awareness that spirit is within us and around us, that spirit is within everyone and everything, and that ultimately then, spirit is the only thing there really is. We seek to live in that awareness that the nature of the divine, all of those qualities and characteristics of the divine are already within us. that they are in everyone and everywhere. And sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in our fear. Sometimes it's easy to forget that we are about spiritual living and that we are about being a conduit for that love intelligence of the universe so that it might express itself in a greater way in this world. It's easy to forget that sometimes when we get overwhelmed. I love the Dalai Lama makes a distinction between religion and spirituality. He says religion is concerned with faith in the claims of salvation, an aspect of which is acceptance of some form of metaphysical or supernatural reality. Connected with this are religious teachings of dogma, ritual, prayer, and so on. Spirituality is concerned with those qualities of the human spirit, such as love and a sense of harmony, compassion, patience, tolerance, forgiveness, contentment, and a sense of responsibility, which brings happiness to both self and others. These qualities involve an implicit concern for others' well-being and can be developed to a high degree without recourse to any religious or metaphysical belief system. Spiritual practice involves acting out of concern for others' well-being and transforming ourselves so that we become more readily disposed to do so. We are dedicated to spiritual living. And you know what? Because we are dedicated to spiritual living, you can't separate out your spirituality from other aspects of your life. You can't separate out your spirituality from work, or your spirituality from raising kids, or your spirituality from politics. It's all a part of our spiritual path. And so the title of my talk today is It's Not Up for Debate. And I'm talking about just that everything is a part of our spiritual path. It's not up for debate whether we are or are not called to live from our spirit. It's not up for debate whether some aspects of our lives and others are or are not a part of our spiritual path. It's all a part of our spiritual path, and we are always being called to live from our spirituality. The truth is, the world needs us to live from our spirit. The world needs us to make choices and to make decisions and to act from our spiritual understanding and our spiritual principles and our spiritual nature. We are here to make good, the good that God is, to make that good manifest in this world in a greater way. To make the good that God is greater in this physical world. And so at Centers for Spiritual Living, we have guiding principles that we stand on. And in the organizational design model, which is a leading document that we stand upon, it says, our guiding principles are the truth, concepts, and ideas of our faith tradition, the science of mind. They guide our consciousness, thinking, behavior, and actions. They are the inner spiritual foundation of our personal and collective lives. They are where we stand, what we stand for, and what we live from. And so at Centers for Spiritual Living, we stand on and stand for those spiritual principles. We stand on and stand for love and oneness and compassion. We stand on and stand for integrity and personal freedom and personal power. We stand on and stand for the unity of all life, the goodness of God, and that God gives itself freely to all alike. We stand on the principle that there is one God, and that God manifests itself in and through all of creation. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes says, if we allow the world's opinion to control our thinking, then that will be our demonstration. If, on the other hand, we rise superior to the world, we shall create a new pattern. We are being called to rise out of the craziness of this world, to rise out of the craziness of politics, and instead to live from spirit, to live from our spirit. We are being called to live from love, to live from unity and oneness and compassion. We are being called to unplug from our very human opinions and our very human perceptions, and instead to see God behind each and every face, to see God behind what's happening in the world. We are being called to pray and to do spiritual mind treatment and to visualize God's presence in everyone and in everything. That means the people that you like and that you agree with, and the people that you don't like and don't agree with. Because our consciousness is reflected into the world and becomes the thing that is before us. In this book called The Government of Eden, Spiritual Principles for Living in Peace by Joel Goldsmith, he talks about this. He says, we must have a period each day of what I call purification. Throughout the day, I'm going to express human thoughts about people in the world. But at least once a day, I must sit down and purify myself by knowing that no matter what human judgment I may pass, or what human correction I may give anyone, it is only on the surface and the appearance world. And so he calls this bearing false witness. And he says, to bear false witness against your neighbor is to accept them as human beings, even good ones. To say so-and-so is good or healthy is to bear false witness against your neighbor because you are holding them in thought as a finite human being who was born and who will die, who may be good one day and then bad tomorrow. To obey this commandment of not bearing false witness against your neighbor, you have to stop believing that your neighbor is good or bad, but understand spiritual being. We have to see each other not as good human beings, but as spiritual beings, immortal, eternal, having no good qualities or bad qualities, having only the qualities of God, which are spiritual. Can you see that I presence behind the face of the person that you call evil? Can you see through your spiritual eyes that I presence that is behind that personality? It's not pretending that there is no personality there. It's not pretending that this person isn't who they are and what they do and how they act and all that stuff in the world. But can you see that I presence behind that personality? Can you behold with your spiritual eyes the love within them that is of the divine? Can you see the perfection within them that is the divine? Can you see the intelligence within them, behind that personality, which is the divine? Can you behold the I within each person? Can you behold the I within the protesters? Can you behold that I within the police? Can you behold the I within each and every one of the senators? Can you behold the I, see that behind and within the president? Can you see that I within and behind the person who is running against him? Can you see that I presence within the person who has COVID-19? Can you see that I presence within the governor of California and within all governors of every state? Can you behold with your spiritual eyes the I within your neighbor, within your spouse? Can you behold with your spiritual eyes that love intelligence that is expressing itself throughout all of life, in your place of work, in the midst of the situation that is causing you to have angst? Beholding that presence within and behind whatever you are seeing is how healing occurs. That's how Jesus was able to heal. He saw the truth behind the appearance, the truth that was always right there, and our seeing it invites it forward. Our seeing it creates a space in consciousness for it to come into this world. And because we are one with the whole, and everything is part of this one, where there is an opening within us, there is an opening within the whole. It creates a space for healing. The law responds to our consciousness, to our beliefs, to our what we subconsciously accept as so, and brings that into form. So my question to you is, what do you want to see in this world? Hold that in your mind. And when you get stirred up by something that's happening, to ask yourself, is this reaction that I'm having spirit-led? To ask yourself, are my thoughts and my perceptions spirit-led right now? And before you act, before you speak, to ask yourself, is this action spirit-led? The spirit within me? The part of me that is the truth, is the life, is the light, that knows there's only one? To ask yourself before you act, what would spirit do in this situation? What would love do in this situation? And to take time every single day to step out of your human reactions, to unplug from those reactions, to unplug from the situations that are causing you challenge, and to see beyond the personality, to see beyond the surface, and to recognize within yourself what it is that is behind that, what is present there is God. See the God presence within that situation. And you know what? That doesn't mean you have to like what's happening in the world. But seeing God right there creates a space for healing. Allow the spiritual principles of love and of oneness and of unity to be the thing that guides you. Ernest Holmes says, new arts, new sciences, new philosophies, better government, and a higher civilization wait on our thoughts. The infinite energy of life and the possibility of our future evolution work through our imagination and our will. The time is ready. The place is where we are now, and it is done unto us as we really believe and act. It is done unto us what we subconsciously accept as so. So I invite you to do that inner work so that you subconsciously accept that it is so, that God is at the center of each and every one of those people, in each and every one of those situations, and that is the activity that is happening, the activity of the Infinite One. Know that God is in and through everything. And give yourself space to see through the eyes of that knowingness, your own divine nature, your own soul, your own spirit, to see through those eyes. Let yourself be guided by your spirit, by your spirituality. Let that be the thing that guides your choices and your actions and your decisions and what you do in the world. And as a result, we each will be bringing that ever-present good, that infinite and unbound nature of the divine into this world in a way that is miraculous, in a way that is beautiful, and is in a way that is creating the world that we want to live in. A world of unity and of oneness and of peace and of love. And so blessings to you on this path. And thank you so much for being a catalyst for change in this world, a catalyst for good in this world. My blessings to each and every single one of you. Thank you. And so I invite you to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so we take our attention right to that truth. That yes, behind every single thing that I see, within every single thing that we see, is that divine presence, is the fullness and the wholeness and the intelligence and the love and the good that God is. That this presence is really the only thing that exists. For everything else is just appearance and is just surface. But behind that is the infinity of good itself. And so right now we place our attention on that, and in doing so, we invite that to come forward in a greater way. We invite healing to occur. Places that have seemed broken, people that have seemed wounded, egos that are covering up woundedness, fighting and war, all of that. We see behind that the love and the peace and the wholeness and the truth of the divine. For this is the invisible realm that we live in at all times. And so today we dedicate ourselves to beholding that presence to the best of our ability. And we give ourselves time to sit in that awareness on a regular basis. For our greatest heart's desire is to be the place where healing occurs, and for this world to be anchored in peace and in oneness. And so I speak this word about and for this entire world, knowing that that presence right now is revealing itself in the hearts and in the minds and in the lives of every single individual. And that because we are each spiritual beings, there is an opening within us. That opening is growing, and that opening is becoming larger. And in that, God is revealing itself to each and every person as good. And so it is with a grateful heart that I release this prayer into the creative law of the universe, knowing that it is unfolding itself now because we have said yes to it. And so I release this prayer in gratitude, and I say, and so it is. And so I have just a couple of invitations for you. Next week, which is October 11th, on Sunday, we will be having an outdoor service at Hartwell Park. We invite you to join us for that. If you are not on our email list and would like a map of where it is that we're meeting, will you please send us an email to livingbeyondlimitscsl@gmail.com, and we will make sure you get on that email list. We are also doing coffee at that same location on Thursday mornings. We invite you to come, bring a chair, wear a mask, we social distance, and get to spend some time with each other in that place of love and heart connection. And if you have something that you would like to bring to read that is inspiring, we invite you to do that too, because people have been sharing some of that stuff. We are having a Thursday evening Zoom call, which is about connection and spiritual practice, where we do some sort of spiritual practice, prayer, or meditation together, and get a chance to break into small groups and share with each other about some of the things in our lives and some of the things that are important to us and how we see things, and get to have some real conversations that are in a supportive and open-hearted and open-minded environment. So you can join us for that same email list. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Living Beyond Limits, which gives you a one-click to watch videos. And we are still doing Ministry of Prayer. So if you have a prayer request, I invite you to email that or call or text Barbara Conant, and she will get that out to the practitioners. Or you can send it to that same email address. We have prayer shawls. If you know of somebody who would like to be wrapped in that energy of prayer, contact Barbara Conant. And last but absolutely not least, I want to thank you so much for your continued support of Living Beyond Limits and what we do. It is enabling us to thrive during this time of distancing and being home and videotaping and putting these on the internet instead of being in service every Sunday. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. And I hope to see you in the park this coming Sunday, and then we'll see you back here online. Blessings to you.